Winning the lottery doesn't change who you are, it just reveals it. My name's Derek Lawson, and I'm 39 years old. Until about 10 months ago, I honestly believed I had my whole life figured out. I worked as a structural engineer in Boise, Idaho, pulling in around $91,000 a year. It wasn't flashy, but it was solid enough to keep my wife Rachel and me comfortable in our cozy 3-bedroom home on Aspen Ridge Drive. Rachel and I had been married for 8 years. She was stunning, sharp, and came from money, the kind of old money Hendricks family that owned golf resorts and exclusive country clubs across the state. From day one, her parents made it clear I wasn't exactly the son-in-law they dreamed of. That message hit home the day they insisted I sign a prenup before our wedding in December 2017. "It's nothing personal, Derek," her father Walter Hendricks had said in that perfectly rehearsed corporate tone, sitting across from me in his attorney's sleek downtown office. "It's just to protect the family's legacy." I signed it. Without a fight. Without even thinking twice. Love makes you blind, and back then, I was head over heels for Rachel. The prenup sounded fair enough. What's hers stays hers, what's mine stays mine, and anything we build together belongs to both of us. Seemed simple, right? If you love stories full of twists, betrayal, and poetic revenge, hit that like button and subscribe, because there are brand new stories here every day, each one crazier than the last. For 8 years, Rachel and I had what most people would call a good marriage. We weren't rich, but we were happy. She worked part-time at a small art gallery downtown, not because she had to, but because she loved it, earning around $28,000 a year. We talked about kids sometimes, maybe upgrading to a bigger house. Life felt steady. Until one Tuesday morning in October 2024. Rachel had been playing the same lottery numbers for years, a mix of birthdays, anniversaries, and inside jokes only we understood. She used to laugh and say, "One day, these numbers will change our lives." That Tuesday, they did. The winning jackpot was $11.3 million, and after taxes, it came to about $7.6 million. I can still remember staring at that ticket in disbelief that night in our kitchen, the fluorescent light buzzing overhead. Rachel screamed, jumped into my arms, calling her parents mid-laughter. "We're rich, Derek. Can you believe it? We're actually rich." For about 10 minutes, I thought all our dreams had come true. That very night, Rachel's entire family showed up at our house like they were arriving at a victory parade. Her parents, Walter and Lillian, her younger brother Ethan, and even her pretentious Aunt Marjorie, who usually pretended I was invisible. They brought champagne, laughter, and a sense of ownership that made my skin crawl. They were celebrating like they had picked the winning numbers. But something felt off. The way they looked at me had shifted, subtle, but sharp. Whispered conversations would die the moment I walked into the room. Walter's smile didn't reach his eyes anymore. And Rachel. She wasn't the same woman I'd celebrated with an hour ago. She was colder. Distant. Almost calculating. Over the next few days, the tension grew thicker. Rachel started having long private calls with her family, always stepping out to the patio when I came near. When I asked what our plans were for the money, she dodged the question. "We need to be smart about this, Derek," she'd say. "Dad knows some people, financial advisors. We can't make impulsive moves." 3 weeks later, on November 2nd, she sat me down in our living room. Her parents were there too, which already felt wrong. "Derek," she began, voice unnaturally calm, "we need to talk about this situation." Walter cleared his throat, doing that fake fatherly thing he always did. "Son, this lottery win changes everything. Rachel's windfall needs proper protection." "Our windfall," I corrected. "We're married. What's hers is mine, and what's mine is hers." The room went still. Lillian glanced at Walter. Ethan smirked like he knew something I didn't. Walter leaned forward. "That's not exactly how it works, Derek." Lottery winnings are often considered personal property. Before I could respond, Rachel cut in. Her voice trembled, but her words were sharp. Derek, I think we should separate for a while. This money, it's mine. I picked the numbers. It felt like someone had hit me in the chest. What are you saying, Rachel? I'm saying I want a divorce, she said quietly. And I need you to move out today. Walter chimed in, almost enjoying himself. The prenup you signed protects both parties, Derek. Rachel's lottery winnings are her separate property. You're not entitled to any of it. 8 years of marriage and they were throwing me out like I was some disposable mistake. I just stared at them. Calm. Cold. Processing. I see, I said finally. So this was all planned. Nothing was planned. Rachel snapped. But I'm not going to let anyone take advantage of me. Take advantage? I stood up slowly. That's what you call our marriage? Her silence told me everything. Fine, I said, grabbing my keys. I'll pack my things. Rachel looked relieved. Her family looked proud, as if they'd just executed a business transaction. But they had no idea what they'd just unleashed. That night, I checked into a TownePlace Suites by Marriott just off downtown Boise. The room smelled faintly of bleach and loneliness, $119 a night. Not exactly home, but better than staying somewhere I wasn't wanted. But instead of sitting around drowning in self-pity, I made a call that would change everything. Not to a friend. Not to my parents. To a lawyer. Not just any lawyer, Michael Archer. One of the toughest divorce attorneys in Idaho, known for tearing apart ironclad prenups and exposing hidden assets. His consultation fee was $650, but I didn't hesitate. It was the best gamble ID made since Rachel bought that lottery ticket. The next morning, I met him in his office overlooking Capitol Boulevard. He was calm, confident, the kind of man who smiled when he smelled blood in the water. Mr. Lawson, Archer said, sliding on his glasses, tell me about this prenup. I handed him my copy, the one ID shoved in the back of my home filing cabinet years ago. He read it slowly, page by page, and with each line his eyebrows rose higher. This, he finally said, leaning back, is fascinating. Your in-law's attorney was thorough. Almost too thorough. What do you mean? I asked. He pointed to a line on page 3, section 4.2. Right here it clearly states that any assets, prizes, or winnings acquired during the marriage are considered marital property, subject to fair distribution in the event of divorce. I blinked. But Rachel's father said lottery winnings count as personal property. Normally, yes, Archer replied, a sly grin forming. But Idaho law recognizes lottery tickets bought with marital funds as joint property. And even if she used her own money, this agreement overrides that. They locked themselves in. He leaned forward, that shark-like smile spreading wider. Mr. Lawson. Your in-laws just handed you the keys to the kingdom. I felt something cold and satisfying settle deep in my chest. So I'm entitled to half? According to the document they made you sign? Potentially more. But we'll need to be strategic, they'll fight hard and they've got deep pockets. His retainer was $19,000. I maxed out my credit cards and pulled from my 401k to cover it. Best investment I ever made. Over the next few weeks, Rachel and her family showed their true colors. They hired Clifford Jennings, one of Boise's most expensive attorneys, known for defending millionaires. His hourly rate was $975, and his arrogance was worth every penny to me. He sent threatening letters demanding I withdraw my claim to the winnings, calling me a fortune-hunting opportunist. They thought I'd fold. That I'd give up quietly. They thought I'd fold. That I'd give up quietly. Have you ever felt like you had nothing to lose? In a moment like that, you probably wouldn't give up, and neither would I. Archer and I built our case brick by brick. We traced the exact date Rachel bought the ticket, the joint checking account she used, and how that account had been used for years for the same purpose. We documented everything down to the receipt for the gas station where she bought the ticket. Then, in late December, Archer called me into his office with a grin that told me he'd found gold. "Derek, you're going to love this," he said. "Idaho State Statute 32-912, it's crystal clear. Lottery winnings acquired during marriage are community property unless explicitly excluded. And your prenup doesn't exclude them." I frowned. "But doesn't the prenup mention separate assets?" "Exactly. And that's the beautiful irony," he said. "They were so obsessed with protecting their current wealth that they accidentally gave you ownership over future ones. Their own greed had built my weapon. While I was quietly building my case, Rachel was out there living like royalty. She bought a brand new Range Rover Velar for $84,000, dropped a $720,000 deposit on a fancy condo overlooking the Boise River, and filled her wardrobe with designer brands I couldn't even pronounce. Her social media looked like a travel magazine. Dinners at rooftop restaurants, shopping sprees at the Grove Plaza, weekend getaways to Sun Valley. She was burning through that jackpot like it had an expiration date, and the internet was documenting every second of it. By January 2025, the divorce battle officially began. Her lawyer, Clifford Jennings, came out swinging sharp suit, smug grin, and all the arrogance money can buy. He filed motion after motion to have my claim dismissed, painting me as some bitter, gold-digging husband trying to cash in on his ex's luck. This transformed character made me realize how foolish I had been for not noticing it over the years. There have been people who were closest to you for years, yet you never truly knew them. When you realize this, I felt exactly the same way you did. Our first court appearance was at the Ada County Courthouse on January 14th. Jennings strutted around the courtroom like he owned the place, cracking jokes with reporters and flashing his Rolex. "Your Honor," he said in his syrupy voice, "Mr. Lawson is attempting to take half of winnings he had no part in earning. Mrs. Lawson picked those numbers, bought that ticket, and won through her own intuition. This is clearly her personal property." The judge, Karen Dalton, listened patiently. She was known for her calm but deadly precision, the kind of judge who could make lawyers sweat with a single raised eyebrow. When it was our turn, Michael Archer stood up, cool as ice. "Your Honor," he began, "Idaho law is very clear. But more importantly, the prenuptial agreement that Mr. Jennings' clients insisted upon specifically states that any prizes or winnings acquired during marriage are marital property. No exceptions. No limits." Jennings laughed. "That clause was meant for raffle tickets and casino wins, not a multi-million-dollar jackpot." Archer didn't even flinch. "The document says any prizes or winnings, counselor. There's no asterisk, no fine print, no dollar limit." The courtroom went quiet. Judge Dalton requested copies of the documents and adjourned the hearing for 2 weeks. Rachel looked furious. Word got around that she'd been screaming at her parents, blaming them for the prenup wording. The Hendricks family, always so calm, so proper, was officially cracking. Then, in early February, Walter Hendricks called me himself. Something he hadn't done in 8 years. "Derek, let's be reasonable here," he said in his trademark condescending tone. "We'll offer you $1.1 million to walk away clean. That's more money than you've ever had." I told him I'd think about it. But in my head, I already knew my answer. 2 days later, Rachel showed up at my hotel room. She looked different, pale, exhausted. The parties, the pressure, it was all catching up. "Derek, please," she said, her voice shaking. "We can work this out." I was scared. My family got in my head. I don't want to fight anymore. "Scared of what, Rachel? Sharing our good fortune?" She wiped her eyes. "I'll give you $3 million. We can both start over." I looked at her for a long time, this woman I had once loved more than life itself, and felt absolutely nothing. It was never about the money, I said quietly. It was about respect. She left in tears. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. The discovery phase in February and March was brutal for them. Every document, every receipt, every transaction was peeled open under a legal microscope. Michael Archer subpoenaed all of Rachel's financial records. What we found was pure gold. For years, she had been buying lottery tickets using our joint checking account going back as far as 2019. It wasn't a one-time impulse. It was a consistent pattern of marital expense, plain and simple. Then came the real bombshell. We discovered that Jennings, her high-priced attorney, had actually advised her to start spending the money freely to establish independence. Big mistake. Huge. Because by doing that, she had commingled the funds, legally blending her personal winnings with marital assets. In court terms, she had just turned our money into our money again. Archer was practically glowing with confidence. "They've destroyed their own argument," he said, flipping through the evidence binder. "They're calling it personal property, yet spending it on shared accounts and expenses. This is textbook self-sabotage." But the best part? Jennings, the self-proclaimed shark of Boise's legal scene, had made a fatal error. While rushing to file his early motions back in November, had submitted a statement that said, word for word, the lottery ticket in question was purchased during the marriage with funds from the marital estate. Archer almost laughed when he found it. "He just nuked his own case," he told me, shaking his head. "That's a signed admission, Derek. He just confirmed everything we've been saying." I couldn't help but smile. The so-called elite lawyer, too used to intimidating people into submission, had gotten sloppy. And now, the empire Rachel's family had built on arrogance was starting to crack. The final hearing was set for April 18, 2025. By then, the Hendricks family's confidence had evaporated. They were desperate cornered animals pretending to stay calm. They even hired a private investigator to dig up dirt on me. He found nothing. No affairs. No debt. No abuse. Just a regular guy who'd worked hard and been betrayed. They tried another tactic. Rachel claimed I'd been emotionally controlling. No witnesses, no reports, no evidence. Just lies. Michael Archer shredded their story piece by piece, backed by phone records, bank statements, even Rachel's own social media posts showing her living her best life while we were married. 3 days before the hearing, Jennings made one last offer. $4.2 million. "Take it or risk losing everything in court," he said. Archer looked at me. "It's a strong offer, Derek. But the choice is yours." I didn't hesitate. This was never about money, Michael. It's about justice. The night before court, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about how this all started. A prenup meant to keep me away from their precious wealth. The irony was poetic. Their greed had built the very weapon that would destroy them. April 18th, gray skies over Boise. I put on my best suit, the same one I'd worn on our wedding day. The Ada County Courthouse was packed. Local news crews KTVB7 and Fox 9 Boise were camped outside. Headlines read, "Engineer fights for half of $11 million jackpot." Rachel sat with her family, pale and shaking. Jennings whispered in her ear, probably pretending he still had control. At 9 a.m. sharp, Judge Karen Dalton entered. "We're here for Lawson versus Lawson, case number 2025, DR 004879. Jennings went first. His voice cracked halfway through his speech, though he tried to hide it under confidence. "Your Honor, this is about a vindictive ex-husband trying to take what he didn't earn. Mrs. Lawson's lottery ticket was purchased with her personal funds. The winnings are clearly separate property." Then it was Archer's turn. He rose slowly, that calm precision in his tone like a man about to close a checkmate. "Your Honor, this case is actually very simple. We have a prenuptial agreement signed by both parties in December 2017, which explicitly states that any prizes or winnings acquired during marriage are marital property. We also have state law confirming that lottery winnings acquired during marriage are community assets. And finally," he looked directly at Jennings, "we have the defense's own filings confirming that the ticket was purchased with marital funds." You could feel the air shift. Even Rachel's father looked pale. During cross-examination, Archer handed over the Range Rover purchase receipt, the condo deposit slip, and bank statements showing Rachel mixing the lottery money with joint funds. Each piece was a nail in the coffin. Then came the final blow, Archer reading from Jennings' own motion. The lottery ticket in question was purchased during the marriage with funds from the marital estate. The courtroom went silent. Jennings froze. "That was a clerical error, Your Honor," he stammered. Judge Dalton's voice cut through the tension. "Mr. Jennings, are you telling this court you filed a false statement under oath?" "And no, Your Honor, just a mistake." "The court will treat it as an admission," she said firmly. That was it. The Hendricks empire collapsed right there, in a silent explosion of shock and humiliation. By 2:20 p.m., Judge Dalton delivered her verdict. The prenuptial agreement is clear. Section 4.2 states that any prizes or winnings during marriage are marital property. Mrs. Lawson's actions in commingling the winnings further confirm this. Therefore, the court awards Mr. Lawson 50% of the net lottery winnings, totaling $3.8 million. Rachel broke down crying. Her parents just stared, stunned, the arrogance finally gone from their faces. Outside the courthouse, cameras flashed. One reporter shouted, "Mr. Lawson, how does it feel to win?" I paused, smiled slightly, and said, "It was as if he was asking Michael Jordan, who won the NBA in a Chicago Bulls jersey." I laughed and quoted one of Jordan's lines. "Some people want revenge. I just want to prove them wrong." 2 months later, I used part of the settlement to buy a small engineering firm. Today, Lawson Structures LLC employs over 30 people, building affordable homes across Idaho. Rachel sold her luxury SUV, canceled her condo, and pawned half her designer wardrobe just to pay me. Last I heard, she was working for her father's firm making $43,000 a year. The Hendricks family never spoke to me again. And honestly, that was the best part. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's letting people choke on the consequences of their own greed. They forged the weapon that destroyed them. I just had the dignity to aim it. Thank you for staying with me through my story. If these words touched you, if they stirred something in you or made you reflect on your own journey, I ask only 3 small things. Like the video so others can find it. Leave a comment, share your story, or simply tell me what struck you the hardest. Subscribe because more stories are coming, and you won't want to miss what's ahead. This isn't where my journey ends. It's where something far greater begins. And I'm grateful you're here to share it with me.